Hi, I'm Macee Woods, and I'm here to present Has there been a negative growth toward the equal rights of African Americans? Racism is a hate and discrimination that hinders the United States on its path to racial equality. Racism is very present in today's society. Most of us are not even paying attention, it feels like. It seems like we're more concerned with being called racist than we are with racism. African Americans are still judged based on the pigment of their skin. I am a mixed child. My mom is white and my dad is black. And ever since I was little, we used to always get stares at from people. And I wondered what were they actually staring at. But as I grew older, I realized it was because I didn't look like my parents and my family did not look like each other. And we were judged based off what we looked like and what color our skin was. And the United States needs to learn and grow from the past to create a place where no matter skin color, no matter who you love, what you look like, or who you are affects if you have the social, economic, and political power to thrive. The picture on the left is a photograph of the protesters in the late 1900s, speaking out about the police brutality of unarmed African Americans being shot and killed by the police. And on the right is the Black Lives Matter movement in 2017, marching for the justice of discrimination of the African Americans being shot and killed by the police. These pictures are almost a replica of each other. They're 50 years apart and you can't even tell the difference of which one is which. The question we need to ask is why? Why has none of this judgment and murders, they continue to happen and they're not solved? Even though African Americans are not slaves in the South and don't drink from different water fountains, the racism and hate is still reoccurring, and it can be shown by actions, and that is what is happening in the U.S. today. The National Public Radio reporter Braxton Booker in 2015 did a survey and asked everyday Americans if they feel the opportunity for fair treatment by the police is equal for African Americans and whites. While the majority of both said that it was unfair, only 54% of the whites said it was unequal, while 90% of blacks said it was unequal. This is clear that the unfair treatment of African Americans, women and men feel and face every day. According to my source, The Long Painful History of Police Brutality in the U.S., on 2016, July 6th, Philando Castile was fatally shot and killed by the police when he was stopped for a broken taillight. His girlfriend live streamed the shooting while there was a child in the back. Police asked Castile for his license and insurance. When he was reaching for his wallet, he told the officers he had a firearm in his possession and carried a conceal and carry permit. As he reached to get his license, the officer shot him 4 times. He was only 32. As seen in the video, Castile was respectful to the officer and had no threat or sign of danger. But it doesn't make sense. Why does doing the right thing cost you your life? And how is it equal for someone's life to be decided if it was important or not because of the color of their skin? And Castile was just one of the African Americans that was shot and killed by the police. According to Dara Lind, a Vox magazine reporter, the white supremacist rally in Charlottesville and the alt-right rallies have caused debates across the U.S. and carry a message of hatred inhibiting the growth and struggle for equality. On August 12, 2017, hundreds of protesters descended upon Charlottesville, Virginia on Saturday for the Unite the Right rally. It was a coming out party for the white nationalists, neo-Nazis, and Ku Klux Klan. They protested to send a message of hatred among multiple minority groups. As you can see in the photograph on the left, these were fully armed protesters, and the police did not do anything about it at all. They had guns, knives, everything you can imagine, and they did not say anything at all. But when an unarmed African American breaks his taillight, he is shot and killed, and his life is gone. This is why white privilege and racism is very current in modern day America. Racism has not changed throughout history. I mean, whites and blacks are still not equal. And it's just been folded underneath and not revealed to be solved or discussed. As in the photograph on the right, it shows a white supremacist wearing a Trump hat with a Confederate flag patched on the side. If our United States president is being supported by white nationalists that preaches racism, hatred, and bigotry, then that gives a voice to the hatred and it keeps growing. According to my source, the unequal opportunity, race, and educational experiences for minority students have continued to substantially be separate and unequal. 2/3 of African Americans still attend schools that are more predominantly minority, most of them located in central cities and funded well below those in the neighboring suburban districts. Because most African Americans attend lower income schools, it causes them to not have the equal resources that higher income schools have, potentially hindering their opportunities of having the highest level of education they can have. The most African Americans who attend lower income schools have fewer low quality books, less laboratories and computers, significantly larger class sizes, less qualified experienced teachers, and less access to high quality curriculum. As according to my source, the challenge of educational inequality, if the majority of African American students still have the resources or money to take college level classes, then this leads to African Americans not having a high unemployment rate in the future. And if African Americans only have their high school education, then these problems could potentially inhibit the equality of African Americans versus whites in the educational field. This photograph on the left says, "Be a voice, not an echo." This is the message that needs to be sent across America and put into action. Because without everyone's voice and without these problems being discussed, then this inequality will never be solved. And as you can see on the right, it is a man and a young boy hugging. And the only thing that is separating them is nothing. Not even his badge, not the skin color, not who they are or what they do. Love is what brings them together. And love and unity will only bring America together to solve the inequality that is still reoccurring. Thank you.